and I'll turn it over to Councilmember Heimlicher to designate comments.
Okay, just a few. The reason I'm here versus some of my other colleagues is this is my district, and downtown Old Colorado City and most of the areas where the homeless are in my district. So I'm taking a very close interest in this, and I met with the captain on Tuesday at a press conference over in City Hall when we were discussing some of these, and I asked everybody to please come to this meeting so that we could have everybody here that has some facts. The mayor has asked the city attorney and the police department to look into everything we're doing in regards to homeless cleanups with Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful, and make sure, because as he said, we have no desire whatsoever to mistreat any citizen or to violate any citizen's rights. And if we are, or it's determined that we are, we'll make corrective actions to not do that. As of right now, what we think we're doing, we think is legal, and we think it's appropriate. A lot of the comments have been made towards Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful. And Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful has a record, and Cunningham, the director down there, and Karon DiPentino is on the board of directors, are going to be talking in a few minutes. But my concern is that we contract with Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful. And Keep Colorado Springs Beautiful does basically what the contract calls for and what we ask them to do. And they have a history, and they're going to cover some things with you in a few minutes about some of the issues that come up when they do a homeless camp cleanup that will bring some other facts to light on some of these things. A lot of this has been blown out of proportion. However, at the same time, we want to make sure that which is not blown out of proportion, we don't ignore. We're not going to skirt over anything. We're not going to hide from any of this. We're going to determine what needs to be done. At the same time, the rights of all the citizens are involved, and homeless camps sometimes threaten the folks that are not homeless and the people that are out recreating and so forth. So there are safety issues for the entire community. I imagine the chief will talk about that in a second. But we're not interested in, and no one is intentionally violating anybody's rights knowingly. And if we are doing so determined by the time we do the review or after the captain, whatever action he takes, he said the other day that it could be a lawsuit or it could be handled without a lawsuit. And as far as I'm concerned, anything can be handled without a lawsuit as long as the two parties are willing to work together. So, but if it turns into a lawsuit, it turns into a lawsuit, and that's has its silver lining a little bit too, because we're going to then get clear definition from the courts on anything. It might be fuzzy or gray. So we're not looking for that at all. Another thing that you brought up, Bob Holmes mentioned about the homeless issue, and I agree with you that the homeless issue is going to get worse instead of better in numbers because of the economy and because of some other issues. You also mentioned something, and Bob mentioned something, that's a big concern of ours, not just me on city council, but us as a community, and that is we have extremely underfunded organizations to deal with mental health, drug addiction, and alcoholism. They're way underfunded, and we need to try to find a way. Through Memorial Hospital, a substantial amount of money is from the city, but because of the problems, the county's contribution has stopped, and a number of other organizations have not been able to contribute. So that's another issue that we have to deal with, because a very large percentage of these folks are mentally ill or dependent on some kind of a material or some kind of a chemical. And the contrary to what was in the Gazette's editorial page yesterday, the program we're trying to embark on with Homeward Pikes Peak as the lead is to try to divert some of the money that goes to panhandlers, that normally goes to drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes. We're trying to divert that not to the city. We're trying to divert that directly to the agencies, the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, Marion House, the Pikes Peak Mental Health, and all the 100 and some odd agencies in it, Bob, that are dealing with homelessness. And in addition to what the mayor talked about, the article having misrepresentations and stuff in it, the editorial yesterday was filled with inaccuracies and one slanted point of view that didn't have any facts back in it whatsoever. So I agree with you, sir. We have to do something, and I honestly agree that I don't think, and I'm not afraid of a lawsuit, but I think we should be able to solve it without a lawsuit. I think and the captain has talked about this too. And I know Bob is probably thrilled to see this many people around a table talking about homelessness, because his group was chartered, I believe, what, 4 years ago? Or 5?
5.5.
5.5 years ago. El Pomar was one of the drivers behind founding Homeward Pikes Peak. And until we didn't have any coordination. And I think Jack is a great, I've seen him at numerous homeless forums and issues. And what he's doing for the veterans, I applaud. I don't think we're doing enough, not because you're not doing enough. I know you told me yesterday that part of your problem is you can't get identification of which of these folks are veterans and which are not. And there are some that are claiming to be veterans that are not veterans. So with all of that in mind, I'm delighted with this group being here, and I think that we could follow this up with some work sessions to actually get to the meat of the issues and try to deal not just with the veterans. I was quoted in the paper saying I only cared about the veterans. I do care about the veterans, but I also care about all these other human beings that are homeless, and I think we need to try to do. Now, nobody can claim they're going to eliminate homelessness, and nobody can claim they're going to eliminate panhandling. I mean, although there are some cities that have, that say we're going to end homelessness in X number of years. It can't be done, and we know that, but we can sure help one by one by one, everybody that we can help, and that's what our desire is.